So, a lot of you know, I moved back to Auburn back at the end of the year last year. And I moved fairly close to the high school. Like, I can see the back of the football stadium. And I know my aunt and uncle support, you know, the sports that go on at Auburn High. And some of you that know me from the way back know that I used to play sports growing up. And, you know, at the end of my sports career as a youth, only played football for the last 6 years. I was never an athlete. I was just one of those guys that went out and played sports because that's what you did. You know, I grew up playing baseball, uh, being forced to do soccer. I know when we got to the end of middle school, I did basketball for fifth grade. When I got to seventh grade, that fifth grade basketball was the first time I did team sports for school because I did baseball or basketball for Lee Hill Elementary. Didn't play much, didn't do very good. When I played baseball fifth grade, played baseball for the park sixth grade, and I wish someone would have made me do basketball. 'Cause I think you could do basketball in seventh, sixth grade, or whatever for the school. Well, in seventh grade, I played football for the first time. Played for the school, Rainier that I went to, and it was the first time I played baseball for a school, and it was the only year that I played baseball for a school because it was not one that you had to try out for. In football, you didn't have to try out for. As long as you passed the physical and you came and you were doing good in class, you could play football. They didn't, and so that's why I stuck with football through high school. I didn't have to try out as long as I was doing whatever. I could go to class and play football. Um, Seventh grade was the last time I did baseball because um, when I got to eighth grade, I had to um, try out, and I didn't make the team. And no one said, "Hey, how about you go try track and field? Shot put." I know my 10th grade year. This is how bad of an athlete I was, and you know, like I said, I was the only reason I was on the football team. To be on the football team was because it wasn't a sport you had to try out at my school. And my 10th grade year, we got a new head football coach, and he wanted you to do a a spring sport as conditioning. He really wanted you to do track and field, but you could do any sport. He really didn't want you to do baseball, but you could do any sport. But he really wanted you to do track and field. Well, I did it for one day, and I didn't do it. I didn't like it. Didn't go back. I think I did it for 2 days, and didn't go back. No, and that's why I say I was a bad athlete. Other than sitting on the bench, no one ever said, "Hey, why aren't you at track practice? Why aren't you on track at the end of the year?" Like they didn't care. If I had been like, you know, a starter on the football team, yeah, they probably would have been on my butt on why I wasn't out there. But I also did, I played sports. I played sports and I enjoyed it. football was one. I liked baseball, but when I was every year when I got to pick my electives, I was always smart and I always picked weightlifting. So I always figured I didn't need to do fall sport, especially I sucked. And it's not like all of a sudden I was going to do track and then become a great football player. But like I was saying, recently moved back to the stadiums near the school, and I I've watched recently, stopped watched a couple baseball games. Uh, when football was going, I stopped and watched a football game. I think I caught a part of a softball game the other day. What I was thinking today was one of one of the sports that we had that no one ever really talked to about was, well, weightlifting. We had a weightlifting team. I just realized we had a weightlifting team, and that's one of those things where I was told that once or twice I was told that we had a weightlifting team and that we had the guy that was the coach. He was also the PE teacher for weightlifting in our school. That he was a former Olympic weightlifting coach. You know, I enjoyed weightlifting, and from what I understand, weightlifting is a winter sport, or so it's like January to April. If someone had said, Jonathan, that we have a weightlifting team, I think you should join, I probably would have done it because I enjoyed weightlifting. I was pretty, I was a lot skinnier than I am now, but I was by the time I graduated, I was pretty darn strong, and I feel like, and I liked the guy that was the coach. He was pretty cool, and I I remember one time someone tried to get my junior year. One of the seniors tried to get me to do wrestling because they needed somebody in the unlimited class, and they didn't have me. I didn't want to do it. Someone came to me and said, "Hey, we want you on the weightlifting team." I probably, with a little convincing, I probably would have done it. And I'm like, that's something I probably would have done really well in. I think because I had fun in it. Um, but that's just me. I wanted to talk about that and rant that off the top of my head. Um, so yeah, thank you for listening to my TED talk about my past that no one cares about.